level 1 creative process.
Hey, let's try that again. Jesus Christ. I had the microphone off, so it doesn't matter. At any rate, we're having some technical difficulties. Welcome to the Para Our Normal Guys. I'm your host, Sport Cat. I am joined by my wonderful, beautiful sidekick co-host that is should be out here telling me when I'm screwing up. So once again, I hit go live and it all went away.
Yeah.
I'm so annoyed. I'm so
happened.
Annoyed. So it must be our topic because, well, you know, we're going to be talking about something, well, it's kind of cool and it's kind of off our normal, I guess is the best way to say it. So,
yeah.
Angela
I'm
is
pretty excited.
Well, I am too. Angela is a therapist and she is a marriage counselor and she is also a sex counselor. So, yeah, Chris, I figured that out a little too late. So,
I was back here going, no sound. I can't hear you.
I was looking over here because the other board was going crazy. So let's bring Angela out and see how she's doing. And also let's bring the wonderful and beautiful Casey out, who's guest co-hosted. Can you hear us, Casey?
Yes.
Ah, all right. So we have a winner. All right. So Angela, you are a therapist, which means you can, let me get this off the screen. Goodness gracious, I am screwing up everything tonight. You are a therapist, and that means you can also tell me that I'm crazy.
I knew that, Glenn.
It's okay. I'm a card carrying member. I'm okay with that. You're also a marriage counselor, and you are also a sex therapist. Is all that correct?
Yes, that's all correct. And Amanda's right. I'm not going to call you crazy, at least not to your face.
Mrs. Sportcat may be calling you after the show going, he's crazy.
Like, yeah, I'm behind your back. Maybe you're like, I don't know what happened on that show tonight.
We had a feeling a lot of people walk away saying that.
Crazy's fun.
I tracked it. So, so tell us a little bit about yourself. First off, what got you into this? Obviously, I'm sure it was to help people, but then you kind of took a right turn and went into more of the helping the adults, I guess. It's the best way of putting it.
Well, I would say I wanted to help adults from the beginning. So back when I was in college, I graduated college in 2007. And there was this lady, Talk Sex with Sue Johansson, on TV. It was just this older lady who would answer questions about sex. And then she'd play with sex toys and rate it with burkettes. So like little fire burkettes. So they're like, this one gets 3 burkettes. This one gets 4. And she was just the cutest lady. And I was like, that's exactly what I want out of my life. So I had gone through college for a while and I dabbled here and there. But then once I knew I wanted to do sex therapy, it was over. So I went for marriage therapy first, because you do have to get a license in some mental health field first. And then after that, then you can get your certification in sex therapy. And so, of course, you know, why not couples and marriage therapy? Because usually typically it's more than one person having sex, although you can have sex with yourself, to be fair. And there can be more than 2 as well, because we live in a wild world, right? So you can have sex with as many people as you like.
Wow.
That reminds me of Dr. Ruth back in the day. So
yeah, well, and she's passed away. So there's a new opening for a sex therapist to just dive right into that place.
there you go.
You could have your own podcast.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I am.
You do. Okay.
So I have a YouTube channel at Open Bedroom Doors, and I'm re-upping my podcast. I had an old one about sexpodcast.com, but now I'm rebranding it to the Open Bedroom Doors. So everything is becoming Open Bedroom Doors. So at Open Bedroom Doors, openbedroomdoors.com, because that's what I do. I just blast those doors right open, answer the questions that you're all curious about.
Nice. Trying to think now if I had any questions about that.
All right. Well, Casey, you've been quiet. Let's see. You've got to have some questions. You've got to have something down there.
I saw that you're from Missouri, correct?
Yes, I am from Missouri.
Okay.
The show me state.
And I did bring my BDSM bears with, so I did want anybody who's in the BDSM or kink community to feel safe. This one's Barry Bonds, and this one is Consent Cub. And true story, I did a little contest to let people in my Facebook group name the bears. And one of my older lady neighbors down the way is the one who came up with Barry Bonds. So I love that. Like, she's in her 70s and she came up with the best name.
That's awesome.
Well, you might have some Cubs fans upset with that. So,
for Consent Cub?
I don't know. Maybe they're into furries. I don't know. So,
I mean, they're into furries.
Well, Glenn, I'm a Cubs fan.
I know. That's what I'm saying. You may be upset with it. So,
Nah.
I'm a Reds fan.
I'm a closet Orioles fan, so, but that's another story because they haven't won since like the 70s. So, since I was a child. So, well, we're going to talk. What we've got you for 2 hours. So hopefully, since we had the little kink, and we're still live on YouTube, and Yerg's Radio, Rainbow Radio. We're live on, and Radio X in Australia. We're also live there. I forgot to mention all that since I had the kink with this coming in. So we are still good, and we're live on YouTube, but it's a separate place than where it's supposed to be, and I don't know why. So at any rate, they'll come in filtering in and find us. Oh, Salty Dog has found us, so we're all in trouble. Yeah, so hopefully we'll get the chat fired up here. We've got you for 2 hours, which I'm excited. I want to talk not only the counseling, the sex stuff, the paranormal. I also want to get into some heavier hitting things like you're big on male health, men's health, and maybe touch a little bit on like PTSD or something like that. So that's why we've got you here for 2 hours. We're just going to drive you crazy with questions. So.
I love it. I want to hear it. My favorite thing to do is talk about sex. I do it all day, every day. So, I'm essentially paid to keep my brain in the gutter. So, have it.
Mrs. Sportcat says I've got to keep mine out of that. So,
I got in the wrong profession.
Have you always been interested in sex therapy?
I never really thought about it or really knew that was a thing. So I'm an optician. I talk about glasses all day.
I love it. It's funny because I think I've been asked this question recently. People have been asking me about, like, did you always know you wanted to be a sex therapist? Like when you were a kid? I'm like, no. Like when you're a kid, of course I didn't know I wanted to be a sex therapist when I was a kid. I didn't even know what sex was. So like, it's a weird question that sometimes I get asked of, like, when you're a kid, did you dream of doing this? I'm like, no, never. Like literally until I hit puberty. And then I probably started dreaming about sex. No idea that this was a career or that I would do this. It's an adult thing.
I don't think I really thought about it being a thing until this very moment.
That's hilarious. Well, what's funny is I do have a daughter who's 10, and my sister does every now and then take her to her church. And when she was at her church, she actually said in front of my daughter to the people in the congregation, she was like, my sister is a marriage therapist, but my daughter was like, no, she's not. She's a sex therapist, Mom.
Thanks.
To the entire, I wasn't there, but
Oh, where'd she go?
She waved and she was gone.
She did.
Glenn,
She waved her hand over the screen and she disappeared.
Did you scare her?
I'm here. I'm here.
That was a great trick, Angela.
Like that, you're gone.
I could disappear before your eyes. But like you're in, even me, like when I'm in certain company, I'm careful about how I introduce myself, right? So like I work with people across the spectrum of beliefs and values, right? And so in certain rooms, I'll introduce myself as a marriage therapist. And in other rooms, I'll introduce myself as a sex therapist. So of course, she was in a room where you don't introduce me. Although everybody remembers it to this day. So, good for them.
Well, I would say there's still a lot of people that are, I guess, shy is probably the best way. And people, when they come in and talk to you, I guess, kind of get a rapport before they come out with certain things. So, I mean, I would be embarrassed to say it. So,
yeah, I would say people tend to binge watch me on YouTube for a while first, like before they even feel comfortable coming in. Actually, I had a client tell me that recently where he was like, I'd watched your videos a few times, and then I was like, okay, she can talk about anything, so I can see her. So I do. I think people are a little shy up front, and then over time they get a little more comfortable. Like, that's just how it works.
Yeah.
I keep switching places with Casey. It's like we're doing like a little ghost dance down here.
well, I'm doing that because when I have a comment, she's smaller on the screen, so it won't cover you up, so that we can see if you turn blood red. So we already know Casey's going to. So
are you able to tell us like the funniest or weirdest thing? Like, what's your favorite story to tell from the work you do?
Yeah, I just have to make sure no names or like identifying features are told. But one of my favorite stories, I wrote about it in my book. There's this older couple, and they like the topic of the day was hand jobs, right? And so we were sitting there, and he goes, or no, it starts with her, and she goes, I give you hand jobs in the shower. And he's like, yeah, but you're too rough. You need to be more gentle, like tickle the balls a little. And she was like, and I was like, this is my day.
Yeah.
That was an hour just talking about hand jobs. Like, oh, well, are there ways we can soften them? Maybe you guys need to talk a little bit about like, how would you like the hand job? Are you okay with giving these hand jobs? Because, she was doing that because she was struggling with sex. Sometimes as people age, like their bodies change. And so it's harder to do penetration, right? She had painful sex at times. And so, she wasn't as interested in sex. And I'd say that's like one of the common things that I'm dealing with is like one partner is super interested in sex and the other partner really isn't. And so then part of what we're doing is coming up with creative ways to help them be intimate that don't always include penetration, that can, like, basically I call it creative sexuality, where you can use your whole body from head to toe as capable of giving and receiving pleasure. But like they had come up with some agreement to give hand jobs in the shower, and apparently she was just like kind of roughing it, like to get it
She
over.
wants it to be over.
What's that?
She wants it to be over. So
yeah,
she's like,
I just want
I do
get it over.
I do it harder. It'll go faster.
We're gonna run out of hot water. So, all right. So we have our first question. It's from Salty Dog. Angela, do you find that sexual repression no longer exists in Western society, especially in regard to women? Sex is now as casual as getting coffee. Hey, wait a minute. Where does he know these women? I need to.
I'm like, I don't know anybody who's having that. So I would say that's a good question, and it's interesting. So now, like the people that I'm seeing are not having as much casual sex as you might think. Actually, like the couples I work with, a lot of them have friend zoned each other. So my positioning statement is I help couples who are best friends take their relationship from the friend zone to the sexy zone by normalizing conversations about sex, right? That's what I do. And I would say my most common couple is couples who've been in the friend zone or a roommate zone for a long time. And so they're not quite having casual sex. So that's my client population. But in the younger population, I would say casual sex appears more frequent. But what's weird is I recently did some research. So Psychology Today just put out an article and said that the Gen Zers, only 50% of them are in relationships. 50% are single. And so actually, while there is casual sex, people aren't talking directly or openly about it. There's still discomfort. Like they're the generation that's supposed to be the most open-minded about sex, and they're not having it. And part of that's because they don't talk to each other.
Well, that's because they're so used to doing this, staring at a screen. That's my opinion.
I agree.
The 80s were a great time. So
you at least had to talk to each other.
Sometimes I do find it easier to talk through text, and I'll say, I'll just text you what I need to say, and that makes it easier to talk through text instead of face to face.
So do you sext then? Like send sexty texts?
No, it's like when my mom passed away, if I started speaking about it face to face, I would just start crying and you couldn't understand a word I would say. So I could text and get out what I needed to say, or if like we're in a fight, an argument, it's easier to text than to take a chance on yelling at each other. So maybe it would be easier to text sometimes than to speak.
I could definitely see that. I've had clients who will start by sending texts to each other of things they're interested in trying or doing. Because, I think sometimes people are worried about what's my partner going to think or how they're going to respond to this, right? So when you text, you can send something and you can kind of just, all right, let's see what happens, right?
Yes.
But the interesting thing about that, so like I do encourage couples to sext to try and like build some intimacy and excitement with each other. And sometimes somebody will send a sext and the other person doesn't know what to say. And they're so nervous about saying the right or the wrong thing that they'll like kind of ignore it. And so I find I have to break it all down. Like I have to teach, okay, when somebody sends something, it's not really a right or wrong other than like ignoring it really is like leaving the person hanging, right? Like, so you can just send something back. But I even have to teach people how to level up when it comes to sexting. Because like what you'll see is somebody will put like a low level thing and then they'll be met with something like way higher than they were ready for. Like it'll go from I think you're cute to a dick pic, and it's like, I gotta do it again. And it's not always that way. Like it can go both ways, right? Like, and so I think couples need to learn how to like level up slowly with each other. Like you can sex kind of low level, like you're cute. Oh, you're cute too. Oh, what do you want to do? I don't know. Like you can do that on text.
And then boom, dick pic.
But then work into the dick pic, like grow. You like literally grow.
I need a macro
this is soft, but just wait.
Salty says the very fact that there are so many who are, I guess he's not in relationships, kind of bears out my point that you don't have to be anymore to have sex on the regular. I think that's what he's saying. So.
Yeah, you don't have to be in a relationship. People are just having sex with everybody, so you don't have to be in a relationship.
I don't know. I just don't know if that's 100% true. I do know that, like, all right, when people divorce, I do think there's a casual sex time that, like, I call it like the new teenage years where, like, people get divorced and they've been stuck in a marriage for a long time. So there is a time where people kind of have a little more sex right then. But then after that, I would say, like there is a period where people kind of taper off again and go back to whatever their status quo is. And so if you don't ever really learn how to talk about sex and get comfortable with it, then you can just end up in another relationship doing the same thing you did before. Although I will say there is a second marriage like energy that people have. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but like that second marriage where they're like just so in love because they finally found somebody who will have sex with them. Usually in the first marriage, it stops.
Well, I've been married for 75 years. I understand. So
I'm on my third marriage, so there you go.
Wow.
I did see a comment on there that said normalize consensual dick pics, and I think that is true. We should normalize consensual dick pics. Like, I wonder, can you ask the audience questions, actually?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
They want to know if you're married. So
I am married. I am on my second marriage, so as you can see, a lot of joy. I just celebrated. I know. I just celebrated 6 years dating, but we got married last year, and so yes, I am married. And actually, you know, when I was dating, I can tell you guys this. So when I was dating, I went through my own period of like, all right, I need to see what's out there and have some fun. So yeah, there was some casual sex. But I always say that, like, to even like start dating me, like a baseline was you had to be good in bed. Like I wasn't gonna, I'm not gonna even give you a chance if you don't have skills.
It's like the interview, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't happen. I mean, it wouldn't happen right away. I wanted to get to know people first, but like, yeah, that was a good interview. If you had some skills to bring to the table, if you know how to go down on a girl, then like, all right, we're good. We can take this to the next level.
Right?
That's the first time on this show I believe that's ever been said. So.
Going down.
No, we did have the lady that had the alien that went down on her with glowing green eyes. So that...
Oh, was he good? Was he good? Are they good in bed?
I don't know. I just hope there are no babies from that. So.
Yeah. So, you know, we were going to talk about consensual ghost sex. My only request for people who are having ghost sex is like, have a conversation like, hey, I'm cool with this as long as we're doing A, B, or C. Because like, you know what? I mean, you still have a right to tell a ghost what you want.
Well, you know, you kind of joke about this, but I've had 2 guests on here that say they're widowed, both female, and they have sex with their husband in the ether or whatever still. And I mean, I didn't have Amanda to back me up at that point in time, but I didn't go into the in-depth like, okay, wait a minute, I got to know. This is like, you know, so.
Well, you know, I don't know if they're a ghost or not, but I do. So my sister, when her husband passed away, she said that she did like, it was interesting. Both her and my sister, so I have 2 sisters, Lynette and Pam. And so Lynette's husband had passed away, and they both had said in the same night that they saw Neil was the husband. And I thought that was interesting that they both had just seen, not necessarily he didn't have sex with anybody, but he did seem to, he was walking around in the house. And so they both kind of like woke up and were like, oh, you know, so, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if like ghosts kind of hang out in a house for a while before they head out or if they stick around. But I thought it was interesting that the 2 of them had seen him on the same night and kind of had a little chill around it.
Oh, that's interesting.
I'm actually convinced my mother-in-law watches me. So.
Like,
that's disturbing. Right?
Was she into you?
No, Pat did not like me at all. It may have had something to do with a comment when we had an argument one time and said, that's all right, I'm going to go home and F your baby. So.
So she's just lurking around judging you, like,
pretty
you're
much
still here.
Yeah, every now and then I'll feel this pain. I'm like, damn it, Pat. So
that's when you get that cramp.
So now you want to have sex with my daughter? Let me say something about that.
Exactly. That's it. Whoa, what is that poking feeling back there? So
that's where the consent conversation needs to come in. And you'd be like, I do not consent to this ghost touching me right now. Please step aside.
Yes. I often joke, I like to go out in the woods with a group of people and we look for Bigfoot. And I often joke that I'm going to be the one to find Bigfoot and he's going to be gay. And I'm going to be the slowest runner. And so I will have discovered Bigfoot, but I won't be able to tell us all.
So we just have to be able to run faster than you, Glenn, right?
Pretty much. Pretty much so.
Are you suggesting that Bigfoot's going to like chase you down and hunt you? Or is he just going to like have I mean, what if he's kind of a nice guy and he's just like, hey, how's it going? What's your name? Like, because we don't know Bigfoot.
He's going to roofie you, Glenn.
He's going to throw me over his shoulder. Yeah.
Like a continental soldier.
Carry me into his cave, into his lair. And I won't be able to tell a soul. So
I got you.
Even if you did, no one would believe you.
that's true. Well, if you know my life, I
Well,
would
if you
tell
have your
Bob he
camera,
doesn't.
maybe you can take a video of it.
That's
Hold on to
true.
that
That's
phone.
true. It'd be
Everyone's got their
blurry.
phones now.
Yeah.
Then you and Bigfoot will be sexting later. Be like, remember that night in the cave? Never forget.
Then they'll secretly enjoy it. Like,
That's okay.
Listen.
You know?
Won't be able to tell a soul. So.
Maybe he was a nice guy. You don't know.
then you'll start having like weird dreams about Bigfoot sex.
Hey, there. Okay. So, Angela, speaking of kinks, we actually had, and I'm glad Cheyenne was with me that night. She's one of my other co-hosts. She's working tonight, so she can't be with us. We had a host on. I did a lot of research on this lady. She knew Bigfoot from the ins, the outs. She knew all kinds of stuff. She had great detail. Well, the problem was I invited her, but there was two of her. There was her, the mystery thriller author, and then there was her, the paranormal sex author. And she thought we were going for the paranormal sex author. And when she went suddenly right, and I'm just sitting there going, apparently it is a thing. People are buying books about sex with ET, with skinwalkers, with Bigfoot. Oh God, what was her name, Amanda? Do you remember?
I don't.
Something Cummings, but she was a great guest once I caught on, but luckily Cheyenne was there to save me because I was like, what?
Well, it sounds like it's a fantasy that a few people have, you know. I mean, we all have different fantasies, and you know, all right, if ghost sex is one of them, then sure, enjoy yourself, you know. Like, I know that there's got to be movies and shows about it too. It sounds like there's books, so I'm like, oh, Ghost. There's Ghost. Remember the movie from back in the day where Patrick Swayze died and then he and Demi Moore kind of, you know, he was trying to connect with her through Whoopi. That was a little strange, but all right.
It's true. Salty is asking serious questions. I'm kind of concerned. Angela, do you agree that sex is far better and even more meaningful when partners have shared emotional feelings, or is it just innate, primal, physical act? That's
Well,
deep.
I think it could be either, right? So it's interesting. I was just in a networking. I talk about the weirdest things in my day, right? So like this morning, I was in a networking meeting with this guy, and he was talking about how he's often known as somebody who's a little bit inappropriate around sex. Like he gives sex toys to his friends as gifts, and I thought it was like super hilarious. He has a lot of sex with his wife, but he says theirs is more primal, like it's more like a sex act. And what was funny is he said to me, you know, I've done everything. I've tried everything. So almost like all the unique experimental things were getting boring for him. And so for him, actually, I told him, well, you know, it's one thing you haven't done yet is the more emotional, romantic, slow down, intimate kind. So for him, changing up sex to be a little more romantic and intimacy based and emotionally connected would probably be like the way to change his way, right? But then I have other couples who really love that slow, romantic, intimate style. And I would say, you know, like they sometimes need a little encouragement to spice it up, because I think anytime you do sex one way for too long, you get bored. It becomes a routine. But I don't think you need to have an emotional connection to be sexual. I don't think that you can't have it either, though. Like some people would say that's like the pinnacle when you have a really deep emotional relationship and you're sexual. And to be fair, that's my favorite client, right? Like why I love working with the best friends is that when they really just need a little push in the bedroom. And once I teach them more about how to take some chances with each other and have a little fun, then they have like a dynamic duo where they're deeply in love, they're great friends, and they're great lovers. But I will say your best friends always struggle in their sex life. Like they need a constant reminder to get back in the bedroom because they're so nice to each other. It's funny, but the very thing that like makes them best friends makes it hard for them to get out of their comfort zone because sex is a little risky, right? So like there's safety in that best friend emotional connection, but to really have good sex, you got to take chances and you got to like step out of your comfort zone and try something new or like risque or naughty, right? Like it's a little, we're trying this thing. And so I'd say an emotional connection can help, but an emotional connection can get in the way of your sex life if you don't know how to take some risks with each other.
Interesting.
I agree with that. My husband and I are really, really close friends. We've been friends since we were 14. So, yeah, you have to spice things up and keep it going to have a good sex life.
Yeah, well, and we don't talk about what that looks like. Like, how do you spice things up? And of course, everybody goes to the extreme. So they think, well, I guess I have to get a sex swing, which you can. I mean, that's telling you don't have to. You can.
I didn't even go there.
I mean,
especially when you're older, that can make it easier.
Well, you know, maybe. I'm not putting down the sex swing. I'm just saying that like spicing it up could be as simple as changing the location of sex. It could be as simple as changing like the pattern that you do. Like say so I always say American sex is you kiss a little, you touch a little, you go down on each other, and then there's penetration. And I really try to break that box with people. So like if you're shaking it up, it could be actually the whole act is kissing. We're just making out for the whole, like for an hour. Like let's pretend to be virgins again. Like we're not allowed to have sex and like we're just kissing and making out and necking as long as possible. Well, then that's shaking it up, right? So there's even like vanilla ways you can shake up your sex life, but there are kinky ways too. So like if y'all want the kink, like no putting down on like kink lovers by any means. I'm just saying there's even low level ways to spice up your love life that don't have to go that far out of your comfort zone, but you do have to step a little bit outside of the PJs, just a hair.
Or
My husband knows when I put like this one band on, he knows like it's go time.
Whoa,
he hears the music and he's like, "Oh, here we go.
The song's on. Things are happening."
Yep.
That is funny.
So I just want to let everybody know if you need some good music, Danzig.
Danzig, that's the song, or
Danzig is the band.
Oh, so you know what people are going to do is they're going to start sending you texts with the song like, "Hey, we want to get our husband laid. This is for you."
Right. Danzig is great.
I love it.
We're helping Abe out. Casey, you had a question. I'm sorry, you get cut off in there.
Or I was going to say, like you were talking about, things can get boring. You could just have some, desk action or something like that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yep, adding props.
Didn't see that one coming.
Full of Monica.
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying, like a location change, right? So on a desk, on a kitchen table, on a couch. Oh, this one's fun. So like it was about 2 or 3 years ago. So I've been with my partner 6 years. About 2 or 3 years ago, he's like, let's get naked on the back porch. But it was dark. So like we have a back room that's like covered, but in the dark and just being naked there was kind of like, I was like, oh, can we do that? and you can, by the way, you can. So like it was just, and actually that's all that was about, was just being nude, kind of public but private. So nobody could see us, but there's a little bit of like, oh, you're not supposed to do that, right? And so it can just be a little bit of that like taboo excitement. Or like if you're at a restaurant. So when I want people thinking about spicing up sex, it doesn't even have to be about the sex piece. It can be about, like, say you're at a restaurant and you just stick your hand on someone's leg a little too high for comfort, like, oh, are we supposed to do that? Are we not? Like anything that gives you that feeling of like the vapors, so to speak. Like that's it. Like it can be in your flirting that you spice up things too, right?
I just ran a story on my radio show where I'm a DJ on a public safety internet radio station, the Thin on Rock station. And I just ran a piece where in Tampa, a couple were arrested. They were on the sidewalk of a cafe, and he was diddling his wife under her mini skirt, and a Karen called and reported him, and they both got arrested. The interesting thing on that charge was they charged her for being loud in public, causing a public disturbance. So she must have been a loud person, but they charged her for allowing the act, and he only got lewd conduct. They racked up like 3 charges on her. And I'm like,
that's so unfair.
That's consensual. I thought that was what you wanted. So yeah.
Why did she get the extra? She must have been really loud.
I was thinking about sending her a friend request on Facebook. Not that I stalked her. There's questions that I need to know answers to. Salty Dog Angela, why can some women can orgasm from aggressive? Yeah, that too. From aggressive insertion, and other women only have clitoral stimulation orgasms. What does
can I bring my vulva puppet to demonstrate?
By all means.
I have all my tools. You're asking the right question. So this is my vulva puppet. I'm going to teach you all about why some vulvas need clitoral action and some need more thrusting, right? So I have to be careful with what you go on YouTube. So I can't get anything that looks too real. And so I am thoughtful of your show and not getting you guys in trouble. But so this is representing the outer labia. This is representing the inner labia. This is representing the clitoral hood. This is the clitoral top. And then inside is the G-spot. This little flower is representing the urethra. Okay. And I also have my clitoris. I think my clitoris is fine to show up, right? So here's my clitoris. This is what the clitoris looks like on the inside. So when I said the clitoral head is here, I'm talking actually about this little hook spot right here. That's the part that people are playing with. But if you look at the clitoris, look at it. It looks like a dick and balls.
It does.
It's the same body part, just smaller. We all had the same genitals. Some of us just got more testosterone, some of us more estrogen and progesterone, but we all have all 3 of the hormones in our bodies, by the way. More estrogen and progesterone makes your dick smaller. It does become a vagina, but like they're literally the same parts. I do need people to see that. Those are the bulbs, like similar to a male's balls. And there's a literal similar thing like this in the male body too, only it's bigger, right? So his penis ends up being this bigger thing, right? So anyhow, why some women need clitoral stimulation? Okay, there's actually a rule of thumb. And the rule of thumb is that if the clitoris is more than a thumb's length away from the inside of the vagina, then you're going to need more clitoral stimulation. Because for those women who are getting good thrust action, you're still just hitting the clitoris. Everyone is still getting clitoral orgasms. Even the G-spot inside orgasms are just internal clitoral orgasms playing with these bulbs. And yes, it's connected to the bladder. The G-spot is these inner bulbs connected to the bladder. But actually, every woman is getting clitoral orgasms. There's just internal clitoral orgasms or these external. Can you purchase those at Target? No, but you can purchase this. I got at Amazon. And this I got at the ASEC conference, which is actually I'm going to be there next month. That's the American Association for Sex Educators, Counselors, and Therapists. I will be speaking on becoming a solopreneur. If you want to join me, we're in Las Vegas. But yes, so you can actually get the vulva puppet at the ASEC conference. And I think the lady has a website too, but I will tell you a funny story about finding this. So I asked my husband to help me find a vulva puppet because all I could see was porn. I kept looking at vulva puppet. It was porn. I'm like, all I can find is porn. And he was like, move, I'll take care of it. So he found the vulva puppet for me. And he was so kind to sort through all the porn to find this for me. So
tough job.
Grateful. I don't want to watch a bunch of porn to just get a vulva puppet.
I'll never look at a puppet the same way again. So
yeah, so if the head of the clitoris is closer to the opening of the vagina, then yeah, getting some of that thrust action is going to be fine because you're getting direct clitoral stimulation. But so for other women, they're going to need a little more focused effort, like vibrators, right? And I have them all here. It's just dependent on when it made sense to bring them up. So like this is a bullet. So some women like having something like this while you're having sex can help. Oh, I did it the wrong way. My screen's so small, I can't see. And then some women like you to go down on them and then have penetration, or you can have penetration and do any of those things afterwards. Like, so again, spicing it up can be, I give you a vibe action afterwards, or I go down on you afterwards, or I give you clitoral stimulation afterwards. Like, it doesn't have to be a set formula. And that's really what helps people like change things up and have better sex, is realizing that like there's a variety of ways to be sexual.
Absolutely. So is that sudden gush wave of emotion that comes over the ladies, is that pee or is it something else?
You talking about when they come?
Yeah, when they squirt.
It's a mix. It's a mix. There probably is a little bit of urethral fluid, but like just like, okay, when a male comes, he's got a little bit of seminal fluid and he's got a little bit of semen, right? Like there's the fluid and the semen. We have a mix of those two. So there's trace amounts of it because it's still from the same area, but we also have like liquid lubricant. Like think of like when you're having sex and you get so wet you're just like gushing. Like some of that is just the natural lubrication in the vagina too. So there's amounts of it, but it's not like, you kind of know when you're peeing and it looks yellow. But like I will say, I've had women say to me that they struggle to know and they get kind of embarrassed because, like if you've never had it happen before. Like I had a friend, for example, who like had never she had never squirted. And then suddenly it started happening in her 40s. And she was like, what do I don't know what to do? Like it terrified her a little bit. And I was like, it's okay. Just put some padding down because it does make a little mess. But a lot of guys think it's kind of hot. Like I always tell people, like, talk to your partner about it. Because if they're like, ooh, this is amazing, then like you're just getting in your head because of your own feelings about yourself, Oh, thank you, Chris, for taking voluminous. No.
all the blood may have left his head. I'm not sure.
Well, I do want to promote that I have books. So like you can also find me at openbedroomdoors.com. I've got all my books. So I can't cuss, but this is from F no to F yes sex. So there's my I'm censoring for the show, but I want you to have F yes sex. So I have books. You can take notes. You can also read the books.
Nice.
It would have scared me more if he said coloring book. So
they have those.
Book. Yeah, it's super fun.
They do have those?
Yeah.
See, I'm old. I don't know these things. They're both nodding, but not saying yes. For those of us in the listening audience.
You should all have an adult coloring book. It's wonderful.
I've never seen one. I've lived my whole life without this. So
how have you lived?
I don't know. I just found out recently there's AI porn. So
there's AI everything now.
I didn't know that, but I mean, you can like put into Gronk is the one that is allowing it apparently from X. And you can put in things and by God, it'll talk right back to you like it's a living person. And yeah, I just found out about that. It's kind of creepy. So not that I'm saying anything since I've been alone in Tennessee for 6 months, but I will say I do have a new phone though. So
we did just talk about how 50% of Gen Zers are single, so maybe they're the ones doing it. I mean, like, what else have you got if you don't have a partner? I mean, that's what porn's for, I guess. Now there's AI porn. Do you get to tell it like what to do? Is it like a chat GPT? Like, show me them do it. Like, do you get to do prompts?
It doesn't show pictures, but it'll talk dirty to you. If you say something dirty, it'll be like, ooh, you're making my gears turn. Let's talk more. And then it's just progressive. It starts off as a little humorous, like you're making my microchips heat up. This is from what I've read online. Trust me. I may have done a little research, just a little. But then it progressively steps up. And I was like, wow, I can't believe this is a thing. So, yeah.
No, the hard drive is going to overheat.
Exactly. You're making my circuits overheat.
No. I mean, whatever. Like, I do teach people how to dirty talk. Like, it's not that hard. All you got to do is a low DJ voice. So say anything and just do it kind of low and sexy. And suddenly you're flirting. Like, that's literally all I teach people to do.
You see, that's where I get in trouble. Beth says that I'm not allowed to, Mrs. Sportcat, excuse me, says I'm not allowed to use that voice because women are attracted to it. And I'm like, I'm just talking. She's like, no, women are attracted to that. And when I moved here from Northern Virginia into the South, apparently I talked different than anyone. And then when I went to Michigan, I was a flight paramedic and flew around the world. When I went to Michigan, all the nurses are staying at the desk going, just say something, talk to me. I'm like, what? Huh? And my nurse is like dragging me away. I'm like, no, I want to know what the hell they're talking about.
Just say table.
My husband Abe is in the chat, and he asked, "Why can I have sex but don't like to be touched?" And that's a great point. Like we can be laying in bed together, and I'll just reach over and be like, "Hey, did you hear about?" And he'll jump. Like he does not like to be touched. He doesn't like for people to come up and hug him. But sex is fine.
So that can actually be overstimulation. Some people have like a sensory overload going on. Is that all the time, or is that just right after sex?
It's all the time.
So some people aren't used to touch. There's a couple things. So some people have overstimulation where like if there's just a lot of like think of like nails on a chalkboard, right? Like have you ever heard that sound? Like for people who have overstimulation of their senses, like every use of each sense feels like that, like nails on a chalkboard. And so for some of them, one of the ways to manage that is to take away one sense, like take away sound or lower lighting so that they can get used to, like, instead of having to address all five senses, like it's like feeling like your senses are loud. And so if you take one sense away, then they can become more comfortable with the other. That's if it's overstimulation. If it's that they were unfamiliar or like it wasn't a part of day-to-day life, they may need consent questions before doing it. Like they may have like just a jolt response because they're not used to touch. And you can retrain touch in your body, by the way. And so for you as the partner, you could always say, hey, is it okay if I hold your hand? Or is it okay if I put my hand on your leg? So he has an opportunity to actually say, yeah, that's okay. And then he may need to like choose how to put your hand on him so that he's in some control over how that touch goes. And then what, like, there's a third thing that can go on. So if it's like, I was just unfamiliar with touch growing up, like you can relearn touch by doing that process. But there's a third thing that can also go on, which is where people, I literally did this in session the other day. There was a woman who just had a lot of trauma associated with different like touch. She had been in an abusive relationship prior where she didn't have a choice in touch, like at all. And so when her husband would touch her, she would just move him like, okay. And I had her practice like putting his hand on her leg with her choosing, but then neutralizing the touch in her brain, which basically looked like hand, fingers, pressure, like real neutral internal thoughts. Initially, when he would put his hand on her leg, fire alarms would go off in her head, like she would move fully into her fight, flight, freeze, fawn response. And so when I was teaching her neutral language, I was teaching her how to move that touch out of fight or flight and into a more neutral parasympathetic nervous system space. And so it really, like, to answer the question is that it depends on where it comes from. And there's a different route for each issue, as you notice. And like, that's actually why I'm a sex therapist, right? Is that there can be multiple reasons why someone struggles with touch, but you can learn and relearn touch in a more positive and like kind and soothing way. But you do have to practice. Like that's the area where like the best friends struggle, right? Is that they're so kind to each other. They're like, okay, no big deal. And they just kind of like avoid it instead of address it with each other. And like, then over time that builds into resentment of like, I mean, I guess he doesn't like me, or I guess she doesn't like me, right? Well, you can learn to get comfortable with touch, but it does take some practice and taking chance. Like it's that risk, right? Like it really, a lot of sex is risk tolerance. So like, it's funny. I get this question a lot. Like, how do I get comfortable talking to my partner about sex? And my answer is stop trying to be comfortable. Like that's the problem. Like get used to risk tolerance. Risk tolerance is it's uncomfortable bringing up that I want a sex swing. It's uncomfortable that I want this sex toy. And I'm getting used to taking that risk and being kind to myself through risk taking. So sex isn't about being comfortable all the time. It's about risk tolerance. If you think back to like, do you remember like the old timey days when you used to do trust falls with a group, or like, did any of you guys do ropes courses?
Mhm.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
didn't. Oh, you
I was
missed out.
I was a firefighter paramedic, and since I was the paramedic, I couldn't tie a damn knot to save my life, so I was the one that was threw over the building. So it's a true
All
story.
right.
I don't
So
know
maybe
why
you
it
learned
is.
maybe you didn't.
I'm apparently not good with my hands. I don't know. I cannot tie a knot to save my life. And they sent me out of paramedic school to the technical rescue team, where that's all you do is tie goddamn knots.
Oh my gosh.
Right. Well, did you learn to tie the knot?
Some of them, yes, but no, not all of them. So I went to the hazmat team. I preferred to get in the glow suit, so I transferred to the hazmat team. But
Well, okay. The point still stands. So for
Sorry,
those
go
of you, no, you're good. For those of you who listen who did like ropes courses or like trust fall things, what you did is as a group, you got comfortable with each other. You learned how to do the thing, but then you took risks, right? Like I remember this ropes course where we had to like help each other move through a tire, right? Like it was taking a chance and taking a risk. And that's what I really need people to understand. So sex isn't about always being comfortable. I wasn't comfortable going through this random tire with people moving me across, but we had developed enough of a safety in the group to then like for me to trust them to then move me in this risky way through this tire, right? Or like the trust fall thing. So there's a level of like safety you are developing through communication and talking and creating like a safe place to take risks. But then a lot of sex is, let's try something. Like let's jump off that cliff together and like see where this goes.
You do have to have trust and be able to be tied into a basket and lowered off of a 15-story building. So
Yes, you do.
you have to have a lot of trust. Chris says if you can't tie a knot, use those hair things. Zip ties. Patients don't like zip ties.
I think he was talking about rubber bands or scrunchies.
Scrunchies, hair thingies. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
But zip ties and duct tape work too. I mean, whatever your sexual kink.
Abe says that, I'll put it back up here, that he is I can't pronounce that one.
Misanthropic. He
There
just
we
doesn't like people.
I was thinking it has something to do with like a caveman. Okay. Well, but she did say something that made me think about something, Amanda, talking about taking away one of the senses. Not that I'm trying to get in your business, but you do paint your bedrooms black, all black.
And
So
he
that
wears
kind
sunglasses all the time.
so that does take one of the senses away.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
It
just
might be worth
observing.
it to do sensory deprivation intimacy, right? Where you like remove some sight and remove a sound, or keep the sound but remove something and see if touch changes, because it does. You had to do some of that with your firefighter training, right? Where like, oh my God, this is so weird, but like I saw this in a torture show. Like I watch a lot of military shows with my guy, and like one of the ways they tortured, they intentionally took away a sense so that the other one became more elevated. And so like, regardless, sensory deprivation is gonna make a sense elevate. But I'm not necessarily advocating for torture here. I'm just saying I watch a lot of those stupid shows. Unless you like torture and it's consensual, then you're allowed to do whatever you want.
That's one of the things they do is they take your vision away from you, and of course they make it a loud surroundings. And like one of the tests to get out of the fire academy is they literally drop you. You've used the burn building all 16 weeks to fight fire, learn about putting out fires. The basement has got 3 to 4 feet of water in it, depending on the season. To graduate, they walk you down there, push you over in the water, full turnout gear, air pack on, and your vision's gone. They're putting flamethrowers over you so you have the heat. And there's a maze of hoses. You have to find the right hose before your air tank runs out and get out of and follow that hose out of the building.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
So, yeah. They do a lot of this, and it's scary, but I got through it. I lived. So, and the worst part of it all is I would do it again tomorrow if I could.
Oh.
Oh. Well, I was thinking of one more that it can be, because again, I don't know, but like I know many reasons, right? And one can be the type and pressure of touch. So like I had a client, and it was a guy who's like, I just don't like being touched, but I always ask more, right? Like, so as a sex therapist, I don't ever take an answer as its own answer, because a lot of times there's a lot behind things that people aren't aware of, right? So I had a guy in my session who said he didn't really like being touched, but what we did is we practiced different like pressures of touch. And it was that he didn't like that she gave light touches, but they had never really experimented with different pressures and types of touch. And so like, and also like some people can like not like this, but if there's just a firm, like we're here and that's the only kind of touch there is. So like, it was interesting. We started practicing different levels of pressure, and like whether movement or just firm straight was good. And like, actually he did find that certain kinds of touch he could be more open to, but like it was more firm, not moving. There was a time frame. So he could do it for about 3 seconds, but like he did learn a little bit about himself. I had this, so funny story. My daughter, I have ADHD with hyperactivity, and so does my daughter. And so we kind of give each other swats on the butt here and there just for fun, right? And my daughter, when she saw this, of course, she modeled after us, right? So my daughter would come up to me and she'd go, whack, like had no like intensity awareness of how painful. I was like, ow, Olivia. Like, yes, we swap, but like for fun. So I actually had to teach her levels of touch so that she understood. I was like, so that is a 10 on a 10 scale of touch. I need you, if you're going to do this, to be at a 3 or a 4. And so we had to practice like different, this is a 1, 2, 3, like, or whatever your version is. And so it can even be that like levels and intensities of touch, of relearning essentially. But people don't talk that in depth about touch. So if you're getting a certain kind of touch that's just really irritating, over time, you just say, no, I don't want touch. But if you realize you have ways to do it and to change it and adjust, then you can get the touch, but it will look differently. That's where that communication needs to come in.
I'm concerned for Abe. She's an ex-wrestler. She's going to punch him now.
I did get him in that camel clutch one night and he couldn't move. So, yeah. And he's a big guy. And
maybe he likes to wrestle.
Right? Yeah. We got some moves.
I love it.
I'll break a hip. So let me push a button real quick for our internet and FM affiliates that have to get a commercial in. Let's take it's just a little break if I can find the right button, so that they can get their commercial and radio ID in.
Let's get ready to rumble!
I'm Miranda Maverick, and when I'm in fight camp, I never listen to the Sport Cat podcast.
And welcome back to hour 2 of the Para Are Normal Guys, where we're talking about paranormal sex and real sex and Abe getting punched out. Let's all state our, I don't know what he means there, approved fetishes. I'll go first. I'm a fairly young, under 40. Oh, soul, pay attention. But my fetish is women with cellulite thighs and asses.
I like it. That's like basically normal women, right? Like,
right.
What you see on the shows don't show actual women, and cellulite on thighs is what actual women have. So it sounds like you like women. Funny, that's a fetish.
Casey,
literally, what woman doesn't have cellulite on their thighs? Like, I have some right now. Not showing you because that's not that kind of show, but I have cellulite. Do you ladies have cellulite?
Yep.
I'm so grateful that you like real women. We need more of you.
Can't afford to get rid of it.
It's your turn. What's
Because what
yours?
we see is fake women, like a lot of fake, like
I
what
hate that.
they pick for in Hollywood is for a certain look, and it's a little, like fake boobs, like a lot of maybe more Botox. I mean, I know not everybody gets work done, but like it is the look that's shown on TV a lot. So I really appreciate that you like a natural looking woman. That's really cool.
I will say that I am not one of those that likes that where they wear tons of makeup and everything's plastic. I mean, it tastes the same, but it doesn't. It doesn't. I just don't think that. To me, that's. I mean, they're hot, they're cute, they're whatever, but anybody could buy that. If you have enough money. So I'm not for that personally, but.
Well, and there's so many filters now too. It's like, I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's weird. It's like, like I think it's interesting that the fetish is that like, like this is what a normal person looks like, but we're not seeing enough of normal. Like this is what women look like naturally, and this is okay. Actually, so if you want to see some normal, there's this thing called the Great Wall of Vulva. You can look that up on, like, I think it's Great Wall of Vulva, and you can see like this wall of different artistic vulvas. Because like even in porn, they show for only a certain kind of vulva. And usually it's very thin labia, like, because it's about like what on screen is, I guess, appealing. But like women have all kinds of labia. They have different, and I have this, right? They have different, longer, shorter, wider, thinner, darker, lighter. And so I think we need more normal representations of women and men so that we feel a little like that's one thing that's keeping people from being sexual, right? Is this feeling that there's something wrong or they're not prettier enough or sexy enough. And the reality is you're all sexy. You're people. You can be sexy just being you. You don't have to do all that extra stuff. But I think with all those filters and porn and shows, like it makes you feel constantly like you're not good enough. I don't know. What are you guys seeing in the world of, I don't know, liking yourself?
I totally agree with that. Yeah. All the Photoshops and everything.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, I don't know how to use half that stuff anyhow. But I don't think that makes you look prettier per se. I mean, but then again, we went through a few years there where you couldn't sexualize either sex, but specifically women, or you were a bad guy. So like if here in the South, if I open the door for someone and say, "Oh, here you go, ma'am," I could be blistered. So I just let the door slam in their face now. But
has that shifted some? Have you gotten a little more comfortable holding the door open?
I still do it just because that's the way I was raised. But I have had women tell me, "I don't need you to do that for me," and I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna go get my Mountain Dew. You F off." So, but yeah, I mean, it is true. I've actually had that. Women tell me that I don't need a man to open a door. Well, I wasn't opening because you're a woman. I was opening because you were behind me.
Right.
So,
yeah, it doesn't have to be a gendered thing to open a door for somebody, like it's just, hey, I saw you were there. Hey, here you go. Like it's weird that it became a gendered thing, because I feel like it's just a common courtesy thing to hold the door open for somebody and not let, like you said, the door slam in their face. It's like, fuck off.
Yeah, sorry, you're on your own. Whatever. I did go through a period where I just walked in, because after I got yelled at, because she screamed at me in a QT, which is a gas station here in the South. Like, okay, well, you obviously have never been in the South around gentlemen before, so
right, or just nice people in general.
True. So, Casey, let's hear a little bit from you here. You were a different shade of red, and you've been awful quiet, so we've got to drag you in somehow.
I did notice. I was like, is she going to stay frozen the entire episode?
Maybe we should ask her for the hand check. So,
no, I think we have to ask you that. Show your hands. Okay.
I have my stone, but I'm here. So,
but I did take a human sexuality class in college, and that was probably one of my favorite classes.
Oh, yeah. What did you learn?
A lot of what you talked about. Also, we had to go see the play. Is it the Vagina Monologues?
Oh, yeah.
So we had to go see that for homework, and I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah. Why do you tell? Because I'm like, I've never seen the vagina monologues, but like, so what are the vagina monologues about that you remember?
They basically just like tell stories, like various stories. Like they talk about like sexual assault and like what a vagina should look like and that this is normal. And it's been a while since I've seen it, but I don't know if
Yeah.
it's still around.
It's got to be. Everything's
I
still
feel
around.
like I've seen it recently.
Yeah.
It's not a horror movie, Amanda. So
No.
I know. I haven't seen it. I don't know. It could be a horror movie depending on who you are,
For the guys.
right?
Uh,
It's
Yeah,
like that episode of Friends where they send Chandler to that play by himself, and it's the woman, and she's like, Chapter 1, my first period.
Kind of.
So it's probably about like relating to your vagina too, right? Like there's just ways that it's probably, like it. So I did these videos. So again, it's at Open Bedroom Doors if anybody wants to see my YouTube channel. And I recently did some videos about getting comfortable receiving oral sex as a woman. And a lot of women, when I dig into that, so like anytime somebody says, I just don't like this, or I'm not wired like that, it's always BS. You don't know how you're wired, by the way. Like, quit saying it. You don't know how you're wired. Like, and actually, brains have neuroplasticity. So anything you do now, you can unlearn, you can change, you can grow. So, like, yes, you may have certain habits or patterns that you have. Like, I do have ADHD, but I'm learning different ways to work with it, right? Like, so yeah, there's certain things that make me more forgetful or make it harder for me to have working memory. But I always have skills or strategies I can use to work with my ADHD. So anyhow, anytime somebody says something like, oh, that's just how I'm wired, or I don't know how to do that, it really is just the excuse you give for not changing or learning something new or different. And when it comes to receiving oral sex, somebody will say, I just don't like that. Well, I never accept that all by itself. I ask, I dig in. And a lot of times it's related to how a woman's treating her vagina. And a lot of women are very mean and harsh to their vaginas. Recently, I had questions about like, how do you know if you're smelling or not smelling? Or, like that's comes from, I guess, culturally, there's a way we put down women's smell that makes them constantly like, am I okay? Is this not okay? But like, again, if you're receiving oral and you're thinking about, do I smell? How are you going to feel sensationally good during that experience, right? Like you're distracted. So like it could be that, it could be, is it ugly? Is it not normal? It's usually body image stuff that's getting in the way of receiving oral sex well. And that's true for men too. It looks like roast beef. Well, does that mean hearty and tasty and you can't wait to go eat as much of it as possible?
Put some Arby's sauce on it.
Because good for you, right? And like we did say, we were going to talk about male sexuality, so we should bring that in too. Like men are having struggles with themselves as well. I mean, do you like to be called Sport Cat, or should I call you something else?
no, you can call me Glenn or Sport Cat, either one.
Glenn or Sport Cat, because that's the thing that's on there. Like, I'm curious what you're seeing that men are struggling with, because I actually just like going straight to the source. Like, you guys do talk to each other some, I heard.
Well, no. Well, one of the problems I find is that we can have our jocular humor amongst ourselves. Now, especially around 14 guys at a firehouse.
Mm-hmm.
But, and of course, we're also like family every third day there. I know their wives. I know their kids playing ball. And we know the intimate details a lot of times because men do gossip. That's a joke. Telephone, tell a friend, tell a fireman. So it's true. And we're also some of the biggest whores. But I find that we're okay talking amongst ourselves, but when you go talk to your significant other, it's like there's a wall there and you can't get past that. That's what I'm hearing most from my coworkers and stuff. And I think it could be something. Then again, not to try and throw the firefighter thing in here, but we are adrenaline junkies, so we're either all in on something or asleep on the couch. So that might have something to do with that, observation.
Yeah, I think in some ways, like, yeah, you guys being all in, sometimes it can kind of scare off the partner. Like if you guys don't have like a way of leveling up as a team. But I'm definitely hearing that too. That guys just struggle to talk directly with their women, and like they feel like there's a barrier, right? Like, how do I talk to her? Like that's one of the biggest questions. Like, how do I bring up that I want more sex or that I would like a more of an intimate relationship? And I've found that a lot of men that I'm working with actually want a little more intimacy, not just sex. Like as they age, they actually want to hug, they want to cuddle, they want to kiss. They're like more and more like, so this is my therapy couch that I'm on, and like every man who sits on here is like, yeah, I just wish she would touch me or compliment me or like be with me, connect with me somehow. And so it's interesting because what you would think, like people kind of think of men as like, oh, they just want sex, but like, no, I am here. I'm in people's bedrooms talking to them every day. And a lot of men want connection. They want to feel like loved. They want to feel attractive. I had one guy, actually, it was another sex therapist that was a male. And he said, I could go for months without ever getting a compliment from another person. Like, and they're lonely actually. And they don't know how to talk, and they weren't given, like growing up, we didn't teach men how to talk. So it's interesting. I've got this 10-year-old and I'm looking at like the landscape of children, right? So in my school for her or her school, there's a Girls on the Run, and Girls on the Run is this great program that teaches social skills and gives the girls a chance to like talk with each other. But like, just so you guys know, women already were good at talking. So I'm glad they have it. I'm not putting Girls on the Run down. But I am saying, where's Boys on the Run? Where's the thing that teaches boys how to talk and like talk to girls, talk to each other, take care of their emotional needs? Because boys are at a deficit and always were. We're not teaching them how to talk. We're not giving them like any tools, like at all. Like women will talk for hours with their daughters, but not say a word to their sons or men too. Because again, if it's up to the father, well, he wasn't taught anything either. So they're just passing down this emotional ineptitude. And it's not their fault. And we need to like do something to address it. That's why male sexuality is like super important to me this year. Because I realized like we're just passing down like this inability to talk and share their needs. And like if we don't change it, then they grow up into men who are depressed and lonely and don't know how to take care of themselves, right? And like they funnel all of their emotional energy into sex, but they're whole people. Like they have all the feelings just like us. There's nothing about a dick that makes you less capable of being sad or like abandoned, like those are all normal human emotions. I don't know, what are you guys' thoughts? I can go on forever, so I'm just curious what you guys think.
We're constantly saying, oh, you're so sexy. I call him my stud muffin, like, oh, you're such a stud muffin. All the women, I have to carry a bat with me to beat them off of you. And it really, I should. but yeah, we always tell each other things like that. And it's nice to get those compliments. And we always tell each other I love you every day. And you have to do that to let them know that you're still interested after all these years.
Aww.
I agree with that.
That's so cute.
And from a man that, is approaching 50, I can say that I prefer more of the things like, the, not just the stimuli, but the cuddling, the hugging, that stuff too. So, but an adrenaline junkie too, we are all in. So, Wendell, he's sexualizing. He says, just give the boy a Playboy book. Well, actually, Playboy no longer shows nudes. I think they may show topless, but they no longer show nudes because in that period of time when it was bad to sexualize a woman, Playboy changed. That's saying something right there. When Playboy, who's been around since 50s, they changed and went completely dressed back to what they started.
Are they in bikinis?
They're in lingerie, they're in bikinis, they're in things like that, but they're no longer like they were. And I think now they are topless, but they went through a period of time where it was just your imagination, which personally, I find that sometimes even more appealing.
Yeah, I think it had something to do also with there was so much free nudity in porn that they were trying to set themselves apart a little bit as well too. Because like when you've got free porn everywhere, I mean, what's Playboy's like? Meh, you got to do something interesting and different. They also one thing I actually like about Playboy, if you guys have ever watched Playboy TV, they have a lot of couples focused shows on Playboy TV. So like where porn just has like the hardcore, I think that's what it sounds like. I don't actually watch porn, not that into it. But on Playboy TV, they have like couples things, like different like skills. Like they even have some reality shows. So there was like a cougar club that I watched that was hilarious, but like it was like, showing like they show people like having more intimate experiences that you probably wouldn't see on porn. So it's funny. I'm not a big fan of porn, but I love Playboy TV. It's hot.
I would have never left my bedroom when I was a child if I had a device where I could type in the word boobs and yeah.
You did your calculator, remember? Didn't you type in boobs?
It was an 8008, yeah.
I totally did that. Look at your boobs.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, you have
Just
been
wrote
around
a
fire,
different
but not
thing.
at you.
See, that's why our generation is so different from this generation. Because we had a calculator of boobs.
That's right. The original voice chat was you would dial your own phone number to get a busy signal, and you could, in between the tone, you could talk to other women or men or whatever. And yeah, that was I'm aging myself here. So that's when grandma put in the thing in the phone thing. So what was that? Mabel was her name, the operator? Anyhow. So when he agrees that nude is not sexy. Yeah. It depends on what you want. I mean, some people like the pictures of the bikinis or lingerie and others don't, I mean, now, but all right, there's 3 women on here, so I'm outnumbered.
Go for it.
Well, no, I mean, you always hear about the men sending dick pics. I personally never sent one. I can tell you that's true. But why is it seem like women are so quick to be able to be like, oh, you want to see the boobs? And they'll send you a picture. And I mean, it's to the point that it's kind of like I said, you could just Google the word boobs and they're there. Why is that freedom different? And why are so many women doing it? Not that I'm complaining. So sportcat at protonmail.com. Go ahead. So
you're good. I mean, I think no matter what the image is, you should feel free to I think consent should be a part of it, right? Like, so it doesn't I don't care if you're a male or female or any gendered person. It's important to ask before you show pictures of yourself. Now that doesn't mean that there are people who are I do know men can be very welcoming of boobs. So if you ask and you're like, hey, are you okay with me sending some tit pics? And they say, yeah, then go for it. But actually anybody, if you're at work, for example, and you get a boob pic at the wrong time, you may actually not want to see those boobs. You can get in trouble for stuff like that, right? So I think we need to normalize consent across genders. And that I do think that women get a little bit of a pass though at times for doing things. And so this goes back to male sexuality, but men, you're allowed to have boundaries. If it's something that you're not ready or if it's just not good timing, then I do think it's important to be able to say, hey, I love your boobs. I would like them at a different time frame, or just don't send them during, if you're going to send them on my lunch hour, you can have boundaries, right? Because I think it's unfair to assume that men are just open to anything and it's all no holds bar. Men have boundaries too. And actually because of that, a lot of men sometimes put themselves in situations they're uncomfortable with, and they don't even realize they can have a boundary around it. And I've had that happen a lot here too, where you think, well, guys like anything, they'll do whatever. And it's well, that's not true. Men have choices and boundaries for what's okay for them as well. And you've got to ask. So I would say it's a misunderstanding that people think that all men are just always open to boobs, because they're not. And some of it goes to, like, again, men have feelings, they can have boundaries, and we need to like treat everybody like people who have a right to give and receive consent. But that doesn't mean they can't, like, once they give it, give as many boobs as you like, because my husband is definitely a boob man. And now that I know, like, he's consenting, I use it to my advantage. Like, I love, like, right before I'm about to get dressed, I always run to his office. We both work from home. And so I'll run to his office. I'm like, this is your last chance to hug the boobs before they go away. And he's like, oh, I love that, So, like, I totally use them. But there's consent there now, Like, he's like, and he jokes with me. He was like, we'll be talking, but I intentionally have them out. And he's like, oh, what did you say? I was talking to them.
Eyes up here. Eyes up here.
I mean, no, I'm like, eyes down here. I have them out. Let's use them. And I'm like, are you going to look at them or are you going to take advantage of them? Because, like, then we're having fun. But, like, once you've had some of those conversations, then you can do whatever you want. But, like, I really think it's important to have those conversations. And just like earlier when they're like, let's normalize consensual dick pics, like, I actually like receiving a dick pic from my man, that, like, 'cause he's got a beautiful dick. It's gorgeous. Can't wait to see it, and when he pulls it out, I'm like, it's arrived. How exciting.
Well, it's going to be one of my questions. You're a painter. Their house always needs painting. A construction worker, their house always needs some handyman stuff. In your line of work, is there less? I mean, you talk about it all day.
Sorry, what did you say? Is there less what?
Well, yeah, a painter, like I said, their house needs painting. A contractor, his house needs handyman work. In other words, they do it for work, and then they come home. They're like, "Yeah, I ain't doing that anymore." Is that way with your job too, or are you kind of it enlightens you?
No, I'm very highly sexual, and so is he. Remember, sex was a baseline for us to date. So I think about sex all day. I flirt a lot with my partner. I will say I'm more clinical. Like, when you can see it here, right? So, like, I'm not flirting with any of you. I'm talking to you. I'm teaching. I model it. But I am very professional with clients and how I approach the topic. But with him, it's totally different. I flirt with him all day. We'll send each other stuff. It's funny. Because I'm already, like, thinking about stuff and plotting. Like, so anybody who's struggling with desire, the big thing is start thinking about and fantasizing about sex. Once you get your brain going, then you will feel sexual. So I am teaching people how to get their brain in the game all the time. So I naturally have an ability to just flip over when he's here. And since we both work from home, so I'm at the bottom and he's above. Funny, just like a physician, like missionary position. But so when we have breaks and clients aren't at my house, because I will either do Zoom or in person, but like when we have free breaks, we'll kiss on the stairs or we'll do different flirty things. So no, we have a pretty decent sex life, but we also like know how to keep it up. Like, you keep that fire going with flirting and connection. And I would say we pretty much flirt all day, every day, And so, like, what I try to teach people is to keep your pot warm with affection, connection, talking. So it's not always flirting. It can just be like hugs and like, I love you. I hope you're having a good day. But like, just keep a pot that's warm, and then it's easier to go from warm to hot. With each other. And that doesn't mean we don't go through stressful times or like, I would say there's an ebb and flow to like health and wellness, right? So like there's times where we've had big issues happen, but even during those big issues, I still use touch as a form of self-soothing. And so like cuddling, maybe we cuddle a little more, maybe we just have talks and rub each other's feet. Maybe we need to take a little more time away from those stressful things. So I would say it also is linked to like good work-life balance. And so of course, as a therapist, like I'm going to learn a lot and teach a lot about that, but we have a really good work-life balance. We have hobbies, we motorcycle together and roller skate and line dance. And so there's all these different things that we have in our lives that like take us away from the stressors that help us to be in that warm place with each other. And I think too many people are just too stressed and too busy to think about that. Like, you need to play and have fun with each other to then want to be warm and have sex with each other. So
I agree. Have you ever had, doing your couples counseling, somebody walk in and they're like, I like to fish and she likes to sew, and they have nothing in common, but they still love each other? Is that, I mean, maybe that's part of getting old too, but I hear that a lot at the fire station.
I mean, I would say if you have nothing together, then it gets harder, right? Like, I do try it for those couples to get them at least something to do together. It doesn't have to be what you think, right? So, like, okay, I mean, maybe the fishing and the knitting happen near each other, like they parallel play, right? Where, like, okay, you can quietly knit next to somebody, but they're at least connected that way. Or maybe road trips are the thing they get with each other. But, like, I do try to get something that brings them connected in, like, a non-sexual way. Because if it's all about sex, then, like, women tend to be like, all you ever want is sex, right? So, like, you have to have something that's not about sex. But for the men, you have to have something that is about sex. And the weird thing about that is actually societal. That is not biological. So people always think of gender as, like, more biological, but really it's more the way that we raise people. Like, we raise men to be allowed to be horny, angry, and winning. Those are the emotions we allow men to have, and we really abuse men for having any other emotions. Like, think of it, look culturally. There's a way we abuse them from the ground up for having any of the other emotions. And then women, we give the opposite. So women are not allowed to be horny, they're not allowed to be competitive, and they're not allowed to be angry. And we abuse women for feeling any of those emotions. So women, what we end up doing is creating this horrible situation that makes it impossible for either of you to work well together. And that's why I always have a job, by the way. Like, forever hireable.
Well, but I mean, that's true. That's true. And even, well, I mean, I've went on plenty of calls where, like, domestic disputes and things, and it's sometimes these relationships can turn just downright ugly because of things like that. And Wendell wants to know, and this is apparently for Cheyenne, what is the best way for a man to approach a strange woman? Well, let's get this out there, women. All women, or Wendell, all women are strange to you. So
You just walk up and say, "Hi, I'm Wendell."
and take a picture.
But
Yep.
you don't take a picture first, then introduce yourself. You introduce yourself, then take the picture.
Why are you taking a picture?
He came up to me and took a picture, and I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Who are you?"
Well, you might want to ask consent too, right? So, like, hey, I'm Wendell. Oh, hi, I'm Amanda. How are you? Ask a question about themselves, then ask, hey, would it be okay if I took your picture? I just love you. I'm a big fan. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Consent.
Yeah.
We joke that you've been Wendelled. You've been initiated at that point. You've been
When he
Wendelled.
walks up and takes the picture of you, you've been Wendelled.
Well, Casey, what were you going to answer for that? I'm curious. What do you think is the best way to approach a strange woman?
I mean, do people really do that anymore? I feel like not
I
anymore.
think they need to learn to.
Yeah, I agree. I just, just like say hi and just make sure that, like, you can feel the vibe, because women, sometimes we tend to be too nice. We don't know how to say that we're uncomfortable. But yeah, I mean, if a guy just approached me and said hi and stuff, just how's the weather, and I'm down for that.
So I think you should practice it. Like, I do think we've lost the ability to just have normal conversations. And I can say I did. I actually went on a journey to learn how to have better conversations with people. And it's really built my confidence, by the way. So couple pointers. Look people in the eyes. Stop being in your phone. Look people in the eyes. Smile. Show that you're a friendly person. Say hi. Get to know them. Ask their name. I'm now known as Mrs. Smoky Alabama in my deli department just because I have conversations with people, and I always order the Smoky Alabama chicken. So it's from somewhere, right? Like, but he's like, it's Miss Smoky Alabama. And we're like, yep, that's the one I want, right? It's just playful, but, like, get to know people, ask them about themselves. Like, if your waiter or waitress comes to you like, hey, what's your name? Oh, you see their name? Okay, ask them. Like, hey, good. And they're like, keep going to the restaurant. Like, we have this Mima lady that, like, is always our waitress. We're like, Mima, it's good to see you. How are you? Like, just talk to people and get in the habit of talking on a regular basis to anybody. Don't make it just about the person you're interested in, because I do think that raises the stakes a little bit. Like, if the only time you talk to a woman is when you're, like, totally into her, then you're going to do that thing where you freeze, right? Like, you're like, oh, I like you, run away.
Yeah.
He's gonna practice just talking to people.
It's funny you say that. I was a EMT and paramedic instructor, and that's one of the things I always told my students.
Yeah.
Don't just walk in and go, "Oh, so your arm's broke." Walk in and go, "Hey, I'm Glenn. This is my teammates, blah blah blah," and then get down at their level and ask them, "So, how you doing? What happened?" Because in that instance, it's their emergency, and you're trying to calm them down, but you're also trying to get an assessment. And if they're up here, you can't get that. So get down, talk to, and it is hard to teach. Now, I did notice when I was teaching these younger generations, they were like, "Well, shouldn't we just ask them about their broken arm?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, you're going to get around to that, but you're going to determine a lot of things." Yeah, I mean, you're going to okay, they're alert, they're awake, they're oriented, they can speak, they're breathing. So we've got 5 things right there, and you just said hi. So there's more things, and as teaching them that, but the younger generation, it's like, well, we just want to go in and put a bandage on it. Well, if somebody comes running in and just throws a Band-Aid on me, I'm going to be like, "What are you doing?" Even though I called you in, but it is the younger generation. It is incredibly difficult to teach and when you're starting an IV, that is an intrusive, invasive procedure.
Yeah.
I've always tried to teach them, look, I did get in trouble, and if he's watching, I'm sorry, but I did get in trouble at EMT school because I had this really hot blonde that was my student next to me, and I turned to her because we had to start IVs on each other, and I said, "Ma'am, you may feel a little prick." I got sent to the dean's office for that, but you have to tell them, okay, this is what I'm going to do. You don't just suddenly just jam a needle in their arm. So yeah, you have to learn to communicate, and the younger generation lacks that. All right, so catch it up here in the chat. So Chris says, so starting relationships based on things outside of constant sex can be a good idea.
Yeah, absolutely it can be. Like, actually, I think people need to build friendships, right? So like when people are dating or figuring stuff out, I actually am not encouraging people to go to the apps. I actually encourage them to do social activities like a dance class. Did you know tango is a social dance, which makes you switch partners? And every time a single man goes there, that is just like a magical place to meet women because women go to dance classes. So one, if you're a male and you're a heterosexual male, go to a class where women are going to be. Well, guess what women like to do? We like to sing. We like to dance. What else do women like to do? We like to knit. So think of the things that might be gender typical of females and go put yourself in a social class where there's women if you're a heterosexual male and just be friendly and get used to talking to women on a regular basis in this very casual, friendly, like, "Hey, what's your name? Cool. My name's this. It's good to see you." And then like you repeat, because what happens is it's not just one class. It's the repeating of a place where you create familiarity because people warm to each other, right? So like the first time I was talking, so it was one of the younger generation. And she's like, it was another podcast. I was being interviewed by this girl who's in her 20s. And she's like, "I guess I could go to an event and try to talk to people." I'm like, no, nobody talks to anybody at an event. You don't go to an event to meet people. You go to a social class that repeats over and over and over again because first you feel awkward. But like then meet one person, meet a social not a social butterfly, like meet somebody who's a fly on the wall. Or maybe a social butterfly will introduce themselves to you if you're a little nervous, but then like keep repeating it. Then you start to just get familiar with the environment, you get comfortable, and you start talking to more people and you show yourself as personable. And then you might find, oh, this person I kind of like, I'm liking a little more. Then invite that person out for a date. That's how you should date. But like people are doing it and just like, I don't know, it's so backwards, like this dating app swipe. Nah, I'm not going to try it. And like, there's this ick factor going on where they just get so judgy so quickly for these random things. Relationships are supposed to organically happen, right? Like, it's not possible for that if you're just like, nah, I hate that one curl. It's like, all right.
I agree. The apps suck. I did it for like
Everybody
3 months and it's just, they're horrible.
They are, and they're dehumanizing. And then, like, if we flip it, if you're a heterosexual female, go where the men are. Like, they like sports, so go into sports things. Trivia nights. Trivia nights are where you might find guys. Game room nights. Like, there's these game rooms. Like, if you like a video gamer, but go where your type of person is and repeat that until you create connections. And then it may not be the people in that room, but people know people, right? It's just like networking. I always feel like networking is just business dating, right? Like you're just kind of like, maybe not you, but I know somebody who might be good for you. And then you're like matchmaking, like a professional business to business sort of way.
It's true. And well, so Wendell, don't break a hip in your tango class. All right, I'm gonna
You got this, Wendell.
let one of you two ladies read this question. So,
Okay.
well, apparently neither of them are jumping on this here. So,
No, I have a lot
have
to say
to.
about this.
Have to be careful.
I mean, so there's different ways to go down on a penis that don't have to involve the whole mouth. Like if you think of a penis like an extension of the man that you love or that you care for, just make out with it. Like you can kiss around a penis, you can kiss around the top of the head. Like you can like think of like making out with part of the body. Like if you just like say, all right, this is my arm, but it kind of looks like, it can look like a penis if I hold it a certain way, right? You can be like kissing around this way. You can tongue stroke. You don't have to put your whole mouth over a penis head if it's a rather large head. You can suck parts of it, like there's different ways, and you can use your hands with it too. So like I would just have a real discussion about like, hey, let's try some different things. I just like attention. Like really all you're doing when you go down on somebody is you're giving that part of their body attention. And so make out with it, show it love. Like it's just one part of your partner's body. And when you go down on them, you're showing love to that part of them. Really, I think we should show love to all parts of our bodies. Like your whole body's capable of giving and receiving pleasure. But I would have direct conversation. Huh?
Maybe that's just her excuse, Salty.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It could be, but like people can get nervous or intimidated. So I'd bring it up and just say, hey, I'd be okay with it looking this. So like the other thing is if in porn, what you saw is deep throating, then if you don't do that, you might think there's something wrong with you. Right. And like, that's not the case, right? Like there's different ways to go down and give head. Giving head's more about enthusiasm. Like the biggest skill in going down on somebody isn't your technique. It's the excitement to be there. That's what's hottest about going down on somebody. Like, oh my God, I'm just going to get in here and do all kinds of stuff. That's the exciting part of oral. Like when you receive and somebody's just like super excited to be there, like that's the hottest part of oral sex. So I would talk about that and share that with your partner and let them know, yeah, just the fact that you're there and you're happy to be there is all that I care about. And that you're giving it any attention at all. When partners hear that, then they feel a little safer to try, and then give lots of encouragement. So anything she does, be like, that was awesome. Thank you so much. So that she knows she's doing well. Because some people, they just don't think they're good at giving head either. So encourage good behavior.
Yeah, I had a guy friend that said that he didn't even want women to do that because they're not even good at it. I'm like, are you communicating with the person and saying this is what you need to do versus just saying, I just don't want women to do this to me because they're horrible at it. And,
Yeah, you have to communicate and let someone know what you like because people like different things too.
Yep.
Yeah, every penis is different. Every vulva is different. So yeah, like talking about, it might be nice if we tried this. So I do teach language. And a lot of people don't know how to like talk about this stuff in a positive way. So what was that comment?
if you think your arm looks like a penis, your husband must be packing.
You'll never know.
Well, he also said that his person told him to write plenty of information because apparently he is sitting there with his thumb up his behind. So.
Well, if you want to see me, it's openbedroomdoors.com and the YouTube is at openbedroomdoors. Please follow, like, and subscribe, submit comments. Because I give a lot of free skills and tips on my YouTube. And but like I do also see people for money too. So I definitely want to see for therapy as well. But I put a lot of free stuff out there because I really want to change the way people interact around sex. Oh, so before I got distracted by the penis comment, I was saying like the way people talk about sex, you can do things in an encouraging way, right? So if somebody's going down on you, it sounds way better to say, hey, I love it when you do this versus why are you doing that? Or I don't like that. Like there's even your approach can make it more inviting and exciting, right? Like, ooh, I love it when you do that. Could you do more of that? That's so sexy. Oh, do more. Like get a little over dramatic. It's fine. But like more positive feedback, people respond better to than like, stop that. I don't know why you're doing that. What's wrong with like, that's very critical. And so I even am teaching people like basic stuff. Like here's how to give feedback in a way that makes somebody want to do the thing you're asking.
Yeah, all of us women kind of got on him and said you need to communicate versus just going into it with that attitude.
Yep.
Maybe he just doesn't like oral sex.
I don't know. I don't think guys really talk about that kind of stuff, but just when he told us that, we were like, well, communicate, like, or, like something. Just don't be negative about it. I mean,
I can assure you from having been around, I've slept with 14 guys. We do talk. So
not like women do, though.
I don't know. Now wait a minute here. Hold up. We've got female firefighters, and some of them are, holy cow, worse than us sometimes. So.
I believe it.
So, but I think you have to be, because like I said, we're adrenaline junkies, but well, all right. So one question we always ask every guest: have you ever personally had any paranormal experiences?
Mm-hmm. When I was younger, I don't know if it was a lucid dream or if it was a paranormal experience, but I was sleeping. I used to sleep in my basement. That was my room. And I had one of those sliding doors, so it was slid open. And I saw a person walk in towards the door and then pass into the utility room. And I wasn't like nervous or anything. I was like, hey, I thought it might be my sister or a brother. And then I went to the door and I didn't see anybody there. So I'm not really sure. It's possible that was a ghost, but I was laying down and sleeping. So I was like, was it a lucid dream? Either way, whatever the person or thing was, it was a very, it wasn't a violent person or dream. It was just kind of like, hey, how's it going? They didn't say anything, but they just passed. Have you guys ever experienced ghost experiences?
No.
No. Wow.
No.
And let me answer, Salty Dog. No, you're not, Salty. It's just I don't want to run her off too soon. We just got her, so I can't scare her off yet. Yeah.
Why is he blackballed?
He is not blackballed. He's over here. He's hitting on Casey, and I'm like, I can't run her off just yet. So.
He always is. That's just, yep.
That's him.
Someone's got a crush on you.
Well, he's got to leave Amanda alone because he knows that Amanda will probably beat his ass if not Abe would. So. No, Salty.
He doesn't like me anyway.
Oh, good Lord.
He likes Glenn.
So nobody likes. I don't ever get any fan mail, but the ladies, they chat with the people in the chat. They get messages, texts, and so I get nothing. I get complaints. That's what I get.
That's not true.
Not 100%, but it sure is. It sure leans a lot towards they do talk to you all more than me. I will be honest about that. That's not complaining, because right now I got so many irons in the fire. But yeah, it is true, and maybe that's just because they're more approachable, or I'm an asshole, one or the other. So
you're not an asshole. They love you, Glenn. Come on, everybody in the chat. Who loves Glenn over here in the chat?
Yeah, let's show Glenn some love. Maybe he needs a little positive reinforcement right now.
You're going to make me tear up. No, but to answer your question, my first experience that got me into the Bigfoot community was when I was younger. There was this creature growing up living outside of Washington, D.C. called the Mount Vernon Monster. And everybody thought, oh, it's fake, it's this, it's that. It's somebody playing pranks. So, as a kid, you're told not to go out in the woods. Well, what do? We went out in the woods. And me and some of my friends, we would go out looking to see if we could find anything because we didn't believe anything was there. One night we were proved wrong. We were proved very wrong. We were on a golf course, illegally, of course. We were teenagers. And this thing was Indian style, using its hand in the water. And we came up and we were not being quiet. So the thing didn't smell us or hear us, apparently. But we were like, oh, it's a hobo, ha, ha, ha. And we were going to have some fun. When it stood up and let out a growl, we knew right away we had made a serious mistake. So we de-asked the area quickly, and the creature paralleled us going through the brush and woods. We were on the green. It paralleled us and sounded like a train going through the woods, jumped over a 11-foot tall fence and landed across the road, did the same thing on the other side. Picture a colonial mansion style fence where they've put barbed wire on top, and landed on the other side. I call it now Iron Man pose, where they land with one arm down and they're looking at you. And it had the most brilliant silver eyes of anything I've ever seen, and of any animal I've ever seen. It had the whitest teeth that were purely visible as it was snarling at us. From that moment on, I was hooked. So, yeah, I was terrified, but I was hooked. So, yes, that was my first Bigfoot experience. So, and it is not my job on this show, nor talking to anyone, to convince them that Bigfoot are real. They have to go out and find out for themselves. You don't have to believe it from me. I could be lying. So it's true. So, Amanda, you've had some experiences, I know.
Oh, yeah. Out here on the farm. I live on the Kentucky River, and we built our house here over the course of 3 years. And apparently we either disturbed something, there was something already here that our neighbor knows about it. And when I mentioned something, she said, keep it over there. We don't want it. She said, you can talk to my husband about it. He knows more about it. But you make sure it stays over there. So I've seen, it's like people walk across our deck out back. I had something pinch me in the kitchen. Something tried to get in my bedroom door one day. I've had a door just open that's really hard to open, and it just opened on its own. Yeah. So I've had several things happen out here.
Have you saged and everything?
No, I won't sage until I have someone come out and investigate.
That's your inquisitiveness. You want to know more about it.
I want to know more before I try to get rid of it. I may not get rid of it. I may just see what happens.
It's scary when they're pinching you.
Yeah, that was pretty scary. It felt like a hair going down the back of my arm at first, and then it was a pinch, and I looked and there was no hair at all. So I don't know what the hair feeling was all about.
Well,
even my husband thought he saw me walk across the deck out back, and I was in the bedroom.
Skinwalker.
Something.
Could be.
Yeah.
Well, I think they can manifest. Now, I don't, with the guests I've had that have said that they still have relationships with their husband on the other side, I don't know about, but I will say they can manifest things. They can touch you. I've had, sitting in a room where there's no water or anywhere, I have seen a single drop of water come down and strike my arm, and there's no explanation for it. There's no science that can tell you what that was, so I think they can manifest, but there are also things that can do that in a bad way too. So we hear sometimes a lot about them.
Yeah, I've never really had that many spiritual or paranormal experiences. So, but it's always fascinating to hear from other people, like your versions of what you experienced. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, on the flip side, has somebody come and sat down on your couch and come up with something so crazy that you even went,
I mean, it's sex. So there's definitely stuff like that. I do get desensitized, I will say. So like when you talk about sex all day, every day, Now it's rarer for that to happen, but early on in my practice, there was this couple that I saw that was doing like a type of scalpel tattooing to each other, like where they would cut each other and it just terrified me at the time. Now I'm like, okay, well, I guess that's kind of similar to tattooing, so it doesn't feel the same way now. But at the time, my response was, is there a medical textbook close by? Like, why are we doing? So, like, like you're so, like when you're a therapist, you're working on that non-judgmental, like, okay, tell me more, so people feel comfortable and safe. But like, it really threw me off because I was like, why are people doing something like that? Now, I mean, people. I do think people try to shock me, but I've heard so much now that it's kind of like, all right, another day, another blowjob. Tell me more.
I love it. I need that on like a pillow or a canvas or something to hang in my house.
Another $1, another dick that needs sucking, right?
Wow.
Oh,
So-
thanks. Yeah, I do have this badge puppet. Thank you. Like it's, yeah, like these are
I'm
the
just
tools.
gonna be
What's
tracking
funny,
that
these are
down.
some fun tools of my trade, right? Like I've got a vulva puppet. I do have a big dildo, but I can't show it or I'll get you guys in trouble on YouTube. But I do have like you guys can all look up. So like, this is something funny. So I have these YouTube videos, and the one that I've gone viral on is like, to me, hilarious. It's how to give a penis massage, and it's not like, believe it or it's like not that racy, but like it's funny to me that that's the hill I'm gonna die on. That everybody's gonna like remember me for this how to give a penis massage video because like whatever. This is what the internet does.
Your sex legacy.
Like, this will be my legacy, right? I'm like, I have such quality videos on there of like different skills, but I did that one as like a one-off. I was like, I'll do this. This will be fun. And that's the one.
It was a short.
Remembered for. That's why you don't always want to go viral, because like you're never gonna go viral over something that like is really quality.
Yeah. When I do, it'll be something stupid I said, I'm sure.
There's a bunch of guys that want to see me give a dick massage. I'm like, well, great.
I mean, technically it is a muscle, so I mean, as I always teach, there's 206 bones in the body, but the 207th you can still break. So.
Well, isn't it actually technically cavernous, like balloon sacs, sort of like cavernous, because they grow up, they expand with blood, but then they release too. So there's like they're like sacs actually.
But you can break them. Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Yeah,
so,
you can pop them.
I have ran that call. So.
You have. Oh man, that's rough.
And I was like, rookie, this one's on you. I'm out. But yeah, you can. So,
rookie mistake. Don't pull all the way out.
It is extremely painful. Extremely painful. And I was kind. I did call for orders to get the pain medication, and the doctor just laughed at me. And I'm like, I tried, dude. I tried.
Hey, that's not fair. That was painful. Does it heal? Like I've never actually does it heal afterwards pretty well, or is it difficult to heal?
It's actually what starts Peyronie's because it is a plaque. So yes, it does heal, but there is scar tissue. I mean, like when you cut your skin or wherever, there is scar tissue, and that is one of the ways that. Well, it's probably the largest ways that Peyronie's starts. So
I'm just thinking about there's something like Mary.
Yes, and when he zips it up.
Yep.
Yes, Chris says heroes do not always wear capes. Just make some massage videos.
I like that you think of me as a hero. That's really sweet.
Right.
I actually secretly say that I'm like part of the Justice League. I'm Action Angela.
Oh my God, I love that. You need a comic book. You need to come up with a comic book, and that would be
Action
you.
Angela, here to save the world. One dick at a time. Or whatever. Like I like all of the body parts. It's not all for men, but I do care specifically about male sexuality because I feel like it's getting a bad rep. Men get a bad rap as sexual people, and they're people. So like that's why they're close to my heart this year. It's interesting, like where that actually came from is that I realized so I'll give people like these different videos and things to watch about healthy sexuality, like Principles of Pleasure is on Netflix, and there's also other shows, but a lot of them are really targeted towards women, and there weren't a lot of educational materials targeted towards men. And then it hit me. I was like, oh my gosh, we're leaving them out all the time, and that's why men don't know how to talk to us. Because I believe in women's empowerment. Don't get me wrong. I want women to feel happy and safe and healthy in their bodies, but I think it needs to be complemented with male empowerment and male sexuality. Like, what is a healthy complement to that? Otherwise, then they're still not learning how to do this together. Everybody's got to grow.
I had a show where we interviewed a lot of people in the military and public safety for a while, and we had a guy talking about his PTSD and how he was now teaching people and going through things. And he came out with a stat on the military that made me just stop and just jaw drop. 64% of the rapes in the military are male on male, and they are not reported. And I was like, wow. And that is one of the things the military is now working on. Mm-hmm. So I did not realize that was a statistic. He had it. He's like, I know for a fact. And I was like, okay. And I didn't have any Cheyenne, Amanda, or Casey to help me that night because I was really kind of, whoa, Casey. I was kind of thrown off because, he was obviously a victim of it and he was talking about it. But you're right. So, all right, Amanda. Abe's got a question here. How'd you get the beans?
Yeah, it's from something about Mary. Yeah, that's what they ask him. They're like, how'd you get the beans over the Frank when he zips it up? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So, all right. Well, we told you we'd only keep you for 2 hours. I feel like we've really gotten a lot out of you. We've used you.
You've been great, Angela. This has been so much fun.
Thank you for having me.
I
don't feel used, by the way, but
didn't do my job. I want you to tell everybody, especially our radio listeners, I will go back and put it in the show notes and comments where they can find you. But for our radio listeners, where can they find your books? Where can they find you? And if they want to talk, it's okay. How can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so the easiest way to get in touch with me is my website, openbedroomdoors.com, and I have everything there. But I do also have a YouTube channel. So at Open Bedroom Doors is where I have free videos, which are relationship skills. I am re-upping my podcast. So be looking for the Open Bedroom Doors podcast on Podbean, and it will be out in about a month or so. But everything can be found on my website, openbedroomdoors.com. If you want to see me, submit a contact form. And you can also become a part of my newsletter. I have lots of different products. I have 3 different books I have out. And I also do couples retreats. I speak. I have an event dinner with a sex therapist I like to do, which is just a casual dinner and a conversation. And yes, there's other people around. It terrifies.
Okay. I have no idea what just happened. Casey broke the internet.
That's all right. I'm back. It's the ghosts. The ghosts are haunting. But anyhow, lots of fun products and services. Just go to openbedroomdoors.com and you'll find me. Clearly, they're like, nope, it's over, Angela. Bye.
That's how we get rid of guests. We just cleared off the screen. No, it's fine. Well, on the topic, as you are probably aware, you will get censored. So I think I'm going to guess that Facebook probably read my show description and killed it is what crashed the first studio. I'm just going to guess, but I don't know. Angela, will you come back?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. And feel free. Amanda is a professional wrestler. She can tell you some stuff on her show. Casey, she's weird, doesn't talk to us, so we don't really know much about her.
I do. I talk to Casey.
Yeah.
And if you ever want a jocular fireman, I'm your guy. So yeah, if you ever need anybody on your show, because we like to swap. So
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's about collaborating. You bet.
I might steal her for my show.
there you go. And Casey does have her own show. It's a little political sometimes, but we still love her. So yeah. And she talks about this strange woman named Taylor Swift, who I didn't know much about until I met her. So
I don't know who that is. Interesting.
yeah. I'm a DJ and I could not name one of her songs. My program director is like, I'm going to mess with you.
I have a 10-year-old. I mean, like when we go roller skating, Taylor Swift's playing all the time. I mean, come on.
That sounds perfect.
Do the young kids still put posters of girls up in their rooms, or is that gone now for screenshots?
My kid doesn't do it, but I don't know that maybe other kids do. I don't know. I'm not in a lot of kids' rooms. Other than my daughter sometimes.
Probably a good thing. It's probably a good thing.
I'm in the adult bedrooms, not kids.
My son had all Star Wars stuff in his room. Still does.
I had cheerleaders. I had the Oakland Raider cheerleaders. That was mine. So
and Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
Oh yeah.
So
Rider strong.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to say I'm showing my age here. I'm about to hit 50. So, Angela, that's a joke. I'm turning 25 for like the third time. Angela, I do appreciate you coming on, and you were great, by the way. I really do appreciate it, because it's a scary subject to go on, but I enjoy talking about anything, and you made this easier to talk about, I guess is the best way of saying it. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Casey, Amanda, you got anything to say before I kick her out of the studio like I just said? So
no, she was awesome. Learned a lot.
Being here. Yeah.
See, I couldn't say that. I'd get in trouble. You're awesome. So
yeah.
Thanks. Awesome. You can, and I would have just said thank you.
You don't have to say it creepy this. Like that, Glenn.
No,
yeah.
There it is.
He's just
oh God. All right. I'm gonna get out of here before I get in trouble. Angela, thank you so much. I do appreciate it. I'll send you some info after the show, and I might try and see if I can sucker you into sending me a autographed copy of your book. So but so all right. Have a great day. Thank you very much.
Thank
you. Bye.
See, that's the cue I was waiting on. Wendell said he had a Flora faucet. And Chris says the posters went out with the boobs on the calculator. Chris knows what I'm talking about. So all right. Well, Casey, tell us a little bit. You got something coming up that you want to tell our audience about? I don't know. We got like 12 listeners. Maybe 14.
We're taking this weekend off, and then I'm going to cover a local case the weekend after, and then we're going to have another Swiftie author on the end of May. So,
okay, cool. And what's the name of your show?
Notorious Escapades. We're on Spotify and Apple.
All right, there you go. So go check Casey out. And Amanda, you got anything? You gonna enter the ring and come out of retirement and beat anybody's ass or anything interesting?
No, I don't think so.
No, not this week.
I'm pretty chill these days.
She's happy with beating Abe up. So
yeah, that's a full-time job. So
big guy. So all right, well, cool. Well, I obviously I'm on the Thin Line Rock Station Tuesdays and Thursdays, noon till 2. But I also have a news show from 1 to 3 where we talk about current events. Sometimes that dirty political thing, but a lot of times we talk about weather. So we do
wind
that.
Maps.
Would do what?
Wind maps.
Oh yes, wind map. Hey, don't joke. That's very peaceful. So we have the wind maps. That's AI generated. That's cool. So 1 to 3, you can check it out right here. And we're on Radio X, Yerg's Radio, Right Talk Radio, Rainbow Radio, and that is replayed overnight on Pine Island FM. Now, next Wednesday on the Paranormal Guys, we have Susan Schatzer. She is a CEO and a 14-time international award-winning best-selling author. So we're going to have her on. And then we're going to have Matt Bors. If you don't know him, he is an Eisner-winning comic book editor and a Pulitzer Prize finalist for cartooning. So we're going to have a great show next week. So, yeah, I hope everybody can come back and see it. And I assume that's about it. Since you ladies are done with me, I'm going to play some music and get us out of here. So everybody in the chat, thank you. And go tell Salty he is not blackballed. I don't want to run Casey up because she was so quiet tonight. Yeah, what the hell, Casey? Why were you so quiet? I'll call you out.
I was taking everything in. I'm just trying to learn.
Okay, so everybody have a great night before I get in trouble.
He was like, maybe we didn't shut up long enough to let her get a word in.
That's true. So I do have that problem. So, well, Amanda, you'll be back next week. I don't know if Cheyenne will. Casey, you have an open door policy, so but you got to talk. Yeah. Otherwise, you're going to start being called Andy. So
we love Andy. So
we do love Andy. We just got to get him to talk more. So we just got to break you in. That's it. Maybe this is the wrong show to break you in on. So
no,
we'll break you in.
She'll be.
Well, we did have Dick Legina on the show once.
Dick Legina.
Vic.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've had some crazy shows. Yes. You're friends with him.
Yeah.
Not me.
We talk about our dogs.
Never heard from him after the show. All right, everybody have a great night. We will talk to you soon. Yearns Radio, Rainbow Radio, we are out of here. Thanks for letting us tickle your ears.